coming. We're going to go ahead and get started. Typically, there's people kind of trickling in as we go, but thanks for being here. We're going to cover a few things today, and one of the main pieces that I want to cover is a little bit of information from family reunion last week. So, not too many of us were able to go, but there was a few of us that were. It was amazing. So I want to show you a couple clips. Short clips from family reunion just to kind of plug you into some of the new news with Keller Williams. And I'm assuming that some of you have heard already, but there's two really big announcements. Actually, there was more than two, but two that I would point to while we were there at family reunion in Orlando last week. First of all, Keller Williams is now the #1 real estate company in the world with number of agents. So 114,000 agents across the world. Chris Heller has done an amazing job continuing to expand Keller Williams outside of the United States, and he was also named the new CEO of Keller Williams, Chris Heller. So that was another big announcement that we had. John Davis was named our new president. So they've taken over for Mark and Mary, which are going to still continue to be part of Keller Williams as part of the board of directors with Gary Keller. So a few big announcements that we had, which are super exciting. I mean, to go from having just taken over the #1 spot in the U.S. in 2013 to now being the #1 in the world in terms of the number of agents that we have, it's an awesome testament to what we've created here at Keller Williams. And it's super exciting. It gives us leverage in the marketplace to talk about that, among other things. And I wanted to point to a couple of things real quickly before I go into this clip from family reunion, but you all should have this information in front of you, and there's two things I really wanted to point out. One was just this MLS weekly information. You see that sheet there? You probably all got a copy of it as members of MLS. But I just wanted to highlight some of the accomplishments from our Keller Williams agents in those numbers. Those are the January numbers for 2015. And I continue to tell everyone that we've gotten off to a fast start here in the Market Center in 2015. And you'll see that here in some of these results. So out of the folks on this list, in that first portion, we were 20% of those folks, 30% of the next, and we carried the last two spots. So I want to say congratulations to everyone on this list. Thank you for your hard work and effort. It's certainly paying off, and it's just a testament to the quality of agent that we have here at Keller Williams in our marketplace here in Spokane. And it's certainly a story that I get really excited to tell everyone, because we can do a lot better by telling our story properly to the outside marketplace rather than allowing them to tell it for us. And the numbers don't lie. So this isn't us telling the story. This is SAR compiling the information and telling it for us. So I just want to say congratulations to those on the list. And I know that everyone in this room is working hard to create great results in their business. So this is an awesome testament. I've had this posted on my door for a week. It's just something I couldn't be more proud of the way we're representing the production and selling of real estate here in Spokane. So this is amazing, and congratulations to everyone. So yeah, the next piece that I wanted to point to, kind of following that up, is the new LORE report. So LORE, language of real estate, is what we call it, right? You'll see that in your packet there as well. This is just from the recent numbers after transmittal from January. So to explain these numbers a little bit, the LORE report is this massive report with tons of data on it. Matter of fact, I have to take a highlighter here just to kind of pull out any information, because all it is a bunch of numbers. But again, numbers tell the story of what we're accomplishing here in the marketplace. And this shows you just with one piece of information that I kind of pulled out to illustrate listings closed in January of 2015 versus January of 2014. And you'll see on the right end of the chart there, those are the numbers that we accomplished. So we nearly doubled the amount of listings that we closed in this January versus the year prior. So if you kind of look at that sheet from left to right, the way that those numbers are drawn out of the LORE report is Spokane All MLS includes us. So those numbers that you see for us on the right are included in that Spokane MLS number. So that's a great piece of information to share with your clients potentially in terms of the number of listings that sold in January this year versus last year. It's a real indicator of what's happening in the marketplace. The middle one is just Spokane County, because the All MLS includes a few of the surrounding counties as well, so we take that out. And just here in Spokane County is actually a little higher than all the MLS total. And the key thing that I want to point out is how we outperform the market. So if you take just Keller Williams agents out of those pieces, you see, and I put the numbers on the last one there to illustrate, from under 5 million closed last year to over 9 million. This is just listings closed by this market center in January. So an awesome indicator of what's happening in the marketplace, but an even better indicator of how we're outperforming the marketplace as a whole, with us included. So we continue to control more of the listings. I think our last report dealt with listings taken. And taking them is one thing, but selling them is another. And this is the results that you see here on us actually selling our listings at a much faster rate compared to last year than the marketplace. So again, congratulations to everyone for your hard work. Inventory is kind of the key ingredient to real estate, right? We talk about leads, listings, and leverage. Well, the listing piece is the one that is one of those key ingredients. So great job on controlling more of the inventory and outpacing the market. Again, these are numbers that not only should you be really proud of, but you should leverage in your business. When you're talking to a seller potentially at a listing appointment, or anything like that. You know, when you're talking to a buyer about the inventory that we control here internally, use this information to your advantage, because these are accurate numbers that are taken out of all the data that we're provided, and it's a real testament to what we're doing here. So thanks for all your hard work and congratulations. I also wanted to mention one person in particular and say congratulations, and that's to Bill Richard for capping. He capped, so Bill's always nice to be getting 100% of your commission. So Bill just capped, and we're excited for him to be doing that, and we're excited to be here to offer that to everyone and help you achieve that goal as well. So what I want to do next is show a few clips from, let me see if I can find it here, from Family Union last week. And and you can access all of this information. If you didn't get this email, you can ask Emily for the link. But if you want to, you can watch all these portions of both the vision speech that Gary Keller gave, as well as the state of the company address. This is really important to us all as this company continues to build steam and momentum so that you can leverage this information in your conversations with your clients. And I want everyone to know what we're part of. There's something bigger than just Keller Williams here in Spokane, a lot bigger, #1 in the world now. And so this is just a short little clip that I want to show. You can access all of this, and there's a ton of great information that we were able to see in person last week that I want you guys to know that you can access. So I'm going to play this real quick, and hopefully the volume's up loud enough.
Companies are nothing more than people create everything inside of what will make us very wonderful is the way that our people think. Keller Williams actually, in all honesty, was kind of a cultural experiment. At the end of the day, I wanted to see if I could build an organization that could use it first. When we're sharing income, we now have an open book policy. Then you look up and you realize if they can't make decisions about what they see, they have no influence. So we actually invented the Agent Leadership Council so that people would have a voice. You could see the future. You could clearly see that at the end of the day, there is a finite dollar value that you can put on the services that a real estate company provides. It's not unlimited value. And so I came back to Austin and suggested that we put a cap. Here's the funny thing. The top agents didn't want to cap it. And the reason is because it would cap the money we would be sharing back in the profit shares. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm having to argue with you paying me less money. We need to put a cap on this at some dollar amount. Otherwise, it's not going to be an equitable deal.
When I joined Keller Williams in 1991, less than 500 associates in the company, and yet the Keller Williams model was so relevant for the future of the real estate industry. And it was as though Gary had taken the way that I already thought about the real estate agent and the real estate industry, that it was a perfect fit for me to become a member of the Keller Williams family. I knew that Keller Williams was destined for greatness.
When Mark was our team leader for Southwest Market Center, Mark was so amazing and such a terrific leader that it freed me to go work on this thing called Keller Williams Realty and expand it.
I chose Keller Williams initially about 24 years ago, and as soon as I heard about the economic model and how they were going to share with all the people that helped build the company, I actually said to Mark Willis, this will be the #1 company in the world. I chose Keller Williams because of the Y4C 2Ts. It was the first time in my life that I've seen a company actually express their value system and what they believed in on paper. I felt that it was in total alignment with what I thought and what I felt.
As I studied culture, one of the things I discovered is one of the key things that separates cultures or defines cultures is language. And so I know Keller Williams gets made fun of for its acronyms and all of its wordings and phrases, but that actually is on purpose to create a sense of community and culture. Funny enough, most people just remember the W, win, winner, no deal, and S, succeed through others. And everything is in between. And I'm kind of okay with that, because at the end of the day, the W and the S absolutely define the Y4C more than any of the other words.
From the very beginning, Mary had this idea that we had to provide the greatest education to all of our agents.
Keller Williams University was created because we saw ourselves as a training and consulting company, then in disguise as real estate company.
So what Mary wanted to do was distribute
God,
an
you fair.
educational system that would involve all of our agents, not just the ones that we were in touching distance with. And it developed into what our university is today, which I think is the finest real estate education.
Our expansion into Canada in 1999 was a big step for the company. And through that process, we learned a lot. And we learned a lot about the
Chris Heller,
about
this
what
CEO.
it takes to be in another culture and other countries. So in 2012, we had to take a lot of those lessons and learn from them when we started to expand internationally outside of North America.
Back in those days, the phone was being answered to Keller Williams International before we even went to Canada. I think we were paving the way for thinking big, acting bold, and aiming high, and it was just a logical extension of who we were to go beyond the U.S.
Competitors were just beating us over the head with this idea that we were unprofessional in terms of our productivity, that we didn't understand top producers. The question is, how do you make Keller Williams fashionable among top producers? And
Top producers.
I hear that. But yeah, the next day, we organized and we all voted, and the #1 idea was Gary Keller would write a book called The Million Real Estate.
Right there in that book, you know, in hindsight, was a blueprint and a company that was apparently teaching people what to do, what I was doing. It just took me 16 years the hard way. So once I read that book, then I was really intrigued. Found out a little more and met some of the leaders and made a decision pretty quickly that this is where I wanted to be.
The beautiful thing about Keller Williams, there's one line, Nick MRA.
John Davis, new president.
I heard about Katrina in the middle of masterminds, and based on the news report, I knew there would be total destruction. I want you to know that our leadership team rallied around that call for help, and we raised $5.3 million in less than 4 months.
That's badass.
The idea of Red Day came from a former employer of mine. They had an event called Impact Day where all employees around the world donated to their local communities. So when I came to Keller Williams, I proposed a similar idea to our Employee Leadership Council. It was quickly adopted. We decided to make it in honor of one of the biggest champions of giving and culture within our Keller Williams family, Mo Anderson. With that, Red Day is always planned the second week in May to coincide with Mo Anderson's birthday.
Red Day is a very special day in the life of our company and for me personally. But I believe Red Day is the day where the agents in our company gain more than they give. Because when we give, we receive.
Bold, Business Objective, A Life by Design was written in 2009 to help our agents with mindset, skill, and productivity. 2,913 agents started out. Today, 55,253 agents have graduated with both. They've written 559,706 contracts, and they are 176% more productive than other producing agents.
With the start of the growth initiative, we were just coming off the ship back into growth. We really focused our leaders on the activity of appointments.
What John Davis and the Growth Initiative has done is take systems and models and put them into all of our franchises, all of our market centers. It's very powerful what happens when you have that type of synergy. And we're seeing it now with this exponential growth that's taking place.
The team leaders have done an amazing job of more than doubling their activities since that time. So what we're doing is we're seeing a whole new level of growth activities, and that's why we're experiencing phenomenal growth in our profitability.
When we started planning our expansion outside of North America, at first we came up with a list. Listed all the countries, and which ones would be the ideal ones, and where should we go first. And then we quickly realized it's not where we go, it's who we find. We launched our first region outside of North America, Family Reunion, in 2012, and that happened to be Vietnam. It's not that we targeted Vietnam or decided that was the best country for Keller Williams. We happened to find a great leader, and he happened to be in Vietnam. That was the first of now over a dozen countries that we've expanded to, and more are on the way all the time.
The family fund began because our associates in Des Moines were not being paid their full commission, and family washes out for family. And so we made the rallying cry at an inspirational breakfast. And in that breakfast, people donated over $100,000. And we have been able to sustain those associates for a full commission ever since this has happened.
In 2013, when we made the announcement that we were #1 in the United States in agent count, I mean to tell you, it felt amazing. Our local leaders did an amazing job, are doing an amazing job, and look out for the records that we're going to shatter here in the years to come.
Keller Williams family, because of your success, 2014 was an epic year. We shared over $98 million in profit and growth share. And because of that, we have now hit over $570 million since the inception of the program. There's another record that you set this year, and we have a huge announcement to make.
In 2014, we're the #1 real estate company in the world, and I got to tell you, it feels amazing. That's historic. We're making history.
So when you ask me, if anyone asked me, so how does it feel to be #1? You know, it actually makes me want to go to work. It's almost like we've just begun, right? #1 had just begun.
So that's just a little snapshot of, that's just a little snapshot of the state of the company portion of Family Union. That's just the first little part there, and then we're going to do a lot more depth. A couple things before we move on, but if you didn't go to Family Union, you missed out. That's the only way I can say it. And you should try to make it. Next year it's in New Orleans. They announced the location. The pre-registration is already sold out. And so there'll still be more tickets. And Bruce made a commitment to me yesterday that whoever wants to go from our market center, he will get a ticket for it. But I just encourage you to plan early to make it to Family Union. It is so powerful. And this is just one little piece. I mean, the information that was there in the breakout sessions with the top agents across the country was unbelievable. I've owned a big company and a big team, and the stuff I was learning was like mind-blowing. So the value is totally there without a doubt. I encourage you to think of the cost of going to Family Union as an investment into yourself and your business, because it's nothing other than that. It will never be a cost to you in the long run, without a doubt. It's amazing the connections you make and the people you meet. There was 14,000 agents there, and it was so powerful. And the fact that pre-registration sold out in less than a week, you see the value that these agents are getting that went. They already bought their ticket for next February. So I encourage you guys to do that. At the next team meeting, we're going to do a little family reunion panel for like 5 to 10 minutes with a few of us that did go to family reunion to kind of unpack some of the information that we learned there and maybe some of our big takeaways, so you guys understand you guys especially that haven't been to family reunion, but maybe those of you that haven't been in a while, the incredible amount of value that we got from going. So I just really encourage you guys to think of that as an investment in yourself and your business. I know it's a few days away from your business. You know, when it's in Orlando or New Orleans, it sounds like it's a long ways away, and it is, but it is totally worth it. There's no place I would rather been for those 3 days with the amount of value that I got out of it. So just a quick snapshot. Again, this information, if you want to dig into it in more detail, you can get. Hopefully you got this link already. If not, I'll make sure that Emily has it. You can get it emailed directly from her. But I think Ken is going to come up next and do a broker moment and make sure that we're all staying out of trouble. So you're the man, Ken. How about it?
And while we were there, Keller Williams was named #1 trading company in the world, and not just in real estate, across all industries. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. This is probably what I deal with the most, and then earnest money would probably be second. Unfortunately, Annie has a video on it, if I can find it. And
Hi, I'm Jamie Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington Realtors legal hotline lawyer. And I love working with realtors because one characteristic that describes almost every single one of you is that you want to do everything you can to help your client, support your client, which is great. The only problem is that your license limits you to some degree in what you can do for your client. And so today I want to talk to you about a trend that I'm seeing, and to use the word trend makes it sound like it's something new. It's really not something new. But as the market heats up and we have more and more sales activity, then we have more and more closings that happen, and therefore we have more post-closing time frames. And in that post-closing time frame, there is this enormous opportunity for dispute between buyers and sellers. Seller took the washer and dryer, that buyer thought that they were leaving. There was supposed to be a generator in the garage and it's no longer there. When the rug was lifted off of the hardwood floors in the living room, there's this huge discolored spot on the hardwood floor. When the mirror was taken off the bathroom wall, there's a hole in the bathroom wall, et cetera, et cetera. You guys have heard a lot more of these than I have. But there is plenty of opportunity for disagreement between buyers and sellers after closing. And every realtor I know wants to do whatever they can to solve that dispute. Some disputes may be solved by the brokers trying to come up with solutions after closing, form a bridge of communication between the parties. But you've got to understand one basic premise. You're not licensed to do that. And to the extent you inject yourself into the post-closing dispute resolution, you're engaged in the unauthorized practice of law. I know real estate brokers do this every day, and many, many times over, it yields great results. And if the parties aren't happy with each other, at least they can walk away without a lawsuit being filed. And I say, hats off to the brokers who made that happen. But I'm also very aware of brokers who have injected themselves into post-closing disputes and ended up then being the subject of the post-closing litigation that gets filed. Broker tried to negotiate the settlements, broker communicated the terms from one party to the other party agrees, and then the first party changes those terms or changes their mind, or their lawyer gets involved at that point and the lawyer changes the terms, and now all of a sudden the buyer on this side thought we had an agreement, but the seller on this side changes the terms, and the one person who was in the middle communicating that there had been an agreement or an offer made in the first place is the real estate broker who really wasn't licensed to be there at all. So the purpose of this video is to say, be careful. I know you want to be helpful, but at some point, your willingness to be helpful puts yourself in jeopardy. At some point, you have got to back out of a post-closing dispute and advise your client, or at that point, actually your former client, in writing to seek the advice of legal counsel. And I actually suggest that you give that written recommendation before you ever get involved in an effort. I want you to understand one more thing. I'm not suggesting that any real estate broker ever involve themselves in resolution of a post-closing dispute. If I could wave my magic wand and have all of you walk away from a post-closing dispute, give your former client a referral to seek legal counsel, and never consider that issue again, that's what I would have happen. But I've represented realtors for a long time, and I know that's not what you're going to do. You want to resolve the dispute. And time has shown that in many cases you can be successful. So while I would love to say, just don't do that, I know that's not a realistic answer. So to the extent you're going to do that, please be careful. Please keep your managing broker involved. Please keep your designated broker involved. And know when you have to cut the strings altogether, give the advice to seek legal counsel for that final time, and walk away. Because that time will come in some disputes. I hope you don't have any disputes to resolve in the next week, but if you do, please feel free the next week or any week thereafter to send me a question to the legal hotline. My email address is legalhotline@w.
Okay, what do you think? And can any of us kind of put ourselves in that position where our client, or as Danny puts it, our past client, is now coming to us? And some of the quick things I wrote down that I've been dealing with, that I've been dealing with on behalf of everybody here. The AC wasn't there, and it was advertised that it was. Storage shed disappeared. Refrigerators being replaced. A junky refrigerator put in the place of where the nice one was. Same thing with washers and dryers. Big holes and gouges that were left in the walls from the movers and things like that. This is something, Bill, do you want to ask me now or do you want to ask me later?
Well, what language is there? Is that in our code of ethics? Is it somewhere else that talks about our fiduciary obligation that extends beyond the closing? Is that only in the matter of privacy?
I'm not familiar with the language you're referring to, and I know you really know the code of ethics, but I'm not familiar with what you're referring to.
I guess I'll have to find it.
Yeah. So, if you've taken my purchase and sale, you've seen this. This is a good visual. The intent is to remind you of what our jobs are, and that's to be the source of the source, and we're licensed to fill in blanks on approved forms. So this R represents us, and we want to be the source of the source. So when somebody comes to us and says, well, how long do I have to identify a property on a 1031? Talk to a 1031 facilitator. You may know the answer, but don't answer it. Legal questions, push them to an attorney. I've had people here take me into a conference room with their clients, and their client would explain the situation and then look at me and say, so if we go to court, what's our chances? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Insurance, lender, CPA, you get the idea. So what Annie's talking about are these issues that come up after the house sells and the fridges are switched or whatever. And something I learned that was pretty interesting, I met with a lawyer a couple months ago. He's local, and he was telling me an example of a competitor we have in town who was giving advice on how to handle a post-closing dispute. And because they were giving advice and it did go to court, they were a party to the lawsuit. That's how they were viewed, because they gave advice. Guess what? You're now part of the defendant because you gave advice. So, well, that's pretty darn scary. Oh, and you'll get this, well, oh, you care about your commission. You guys just care about your commission. You're not going to help. And you'll try to get guilted into getting involved. And I can tell you from experience, and a lot of you can say the same thing, the more you help just a little, the more you're going to get sucked in. Before you know it, you are like totally involved. And based on the meeting I had with the attorney, should that go to court, you're going to be sitting in there with your past clients. So here's something that I use, kind of a word track or a script, because we don't want to be, bad guy. Like, well, I can't tell you. This works well for me, and so I want to share it in case you can use it. I always blame the state. So, hey, my fridge or washer or hose or whatever. Oh my gosh, the state can have my license. If I start to give you advice or get involved, I can't do that. So I don't want to lose my license. And usually you get the, oh my gosh, okay, no, I get that. But I blame the state, and then I'll tell them, here's a couple different attorneys you can talk to. I've been told by two of them that anybody here that has some kind of issue, they'll at least talk to the person on the phone and kind of give them kind of a couple thoughts and listen to them without sending them a bill. So there are two lawyers that I'll refer people to, but I blame it on the state. So it's not me being a jerk. It's not me just caring about my commission. I'll say the state views that as practicing law without a license. So I can't get involved as much as I want to. Oh my gosh. And that, a lot of us, the reason we're in this business is we care. We want to help. And when we establish these relationships and we're with people during some of the toughest parts, maybe they're buying a house through divorce or death or whatever. I mean, you get tight, you get close. They come to you for everything. Well, what kind of grass should I plant here? I mean, everything. So I understand that. I understand we're caring. We like to give the answers, and we may know the answers. But hopefully that just hopefully a trigger will go in your head where, whoa, I can't give that answer. And I mean, I've given people direction before, and then right when I've done it, oh my gosh, I messed up that. Oh my God, I am on the hook now. So I said it, I repeated it. I wanted you to see this and hear from somebody else. But it's a big deal, and as we continue to increase our sales and we continue to heat up, there's going to be more transactions. It's a numbers game. There's going to be more issues. So just be really careful and don't step in any of the doo-doo that is sitting right there just waiting for you to step in. How's that? Buzzkill?
Well, one thing I would add, Tim, just thinking as you're talking, I love that chart, but nobody should practice real estate alone. I mean, you should never consider yourself, I'm a single agent on my own. You should always have a team, right? And what I mean by that is if you're a single agent practicing, no problem, but you got to build your team around you, and that's these other professionals. First of all, so that you can refer to them when you need to rather than stepping in the doo-doo, using Ken's words. But second of all those people that he mentioned there, and I can think of probably 6 others off the top of my head, are sources of business for you. And you're a source of business for them. So they want to talk to you. So that's your team right there. Ken's part of your team as well. You're managing brokers. So when stuff pops up, get him involved immediately. Leverage that piece. It's one thing we provide here at Keller Williams, among others. Get him involved sooner rather than later. Because he may have a referral for you for someone who's a lawyer if you don't have one already. That's someone you should meet with. And this should be your team if you don't have a team. If you do have a team, that should be an extension of your team. Because that's how professionals work, right? They know other professionals. They don't try to answer all the questions, but they know who can answer it. And the quicker you take care of that client in that way, you're still serving them at a really high level, and they'll still come back to you for business. Because you don't have to have all the answers, but you better have someone who does. So that's one thing that kind of struck me, is that's your team right there, part of it.
Yeah, and a lot of you here I've helped, and you know, I'll make like one kind of pass by, one flyby, and I'll make a call and just find out some things. And hey, a lot of times we end up solving it, but I don't go much more than one or two attempts to try to get somewhere, and that's just because we can get in a lot of trouble. So, anyways, yeah. Anything else, you guys?
So one of the people on that list that Ken has there that's part of our team is Movement Mortgage, and so I want to give them a couple of minutes to update you guys on what's happening in the mortgage world, and more specifically how it can pertain to your business and help you do more business or work with your buyers and sellers more efficiently. So Kevin and Mike and Chris, take it away, man. We do a little dance if you want, get everyone kind of moving around a little bit.
Thanks for having us, and Kevin and I are going to talk about the impact of rising interest rates on the payments.
And then Mike's going to come up and talk about gift funds real quick. So we're going to make probably a 2 or 3 minute process of what we're doing right here. I'm going to use $200,000 as a loan amount balance. I'm not going to talk about taxes and insurance and mortgage insurance. So be aware of the fact that just what we're putting on the board is not everything that's involved in the buyer's mortgage payment. $200,000, interest rate of 3.75 is going to give you a $926 payment.
Anybody see this?
Principal and interest payment only. Okay? So 926. 4% gives you $954. No, I'm just giving you a loan amount in an interest rate scenario. So we're not talking about mortgage insurance, we're not talking about taxes or insurance. So this is just the loan amount only.
Because rates are moving, rates go up, you can see what happens to your...
So this is going to play into any down payment, any scenario. This is what basically what adjusts your qualification. So that one is 954. 4 1/4. You're still good.
It's all good.
Yeah, just that carries through. 4 1/4 is 983. And 4 1/2 is 1,013. Now those are roughly $30 difference between each. Okay. Now if I take what we're at today, the 4% rate at 954, so go circle the 954 for me over on the far right for me. Okay. Bring your 954 down here. If I use 954 as a payment, but I do it with an interest rate of 4 1/2, because remember our borrowers qualify for X amount of dollars of payment. They don't qualify for a loan. Okay. One goes hand in hand, but the amount of payment they can qualify for drives the loan amount that they can actually get. So we're at 4 1/2 at 188.
This is another real chart.
That's it. That's going to give you a $188,000 purchase now.
Yeah, when the rate rises.
Okay. Now if I go to 4 1/4, I'm at 194. Okay. So drop me over to the right here. Just put 4 1/4 right here. And then just go with $194,000 purchase. And the 3 3/4 gives you a $206,000 purchase. Why is this important? Make sense? We're going to talk about that next meeting. Okay. But why is this important? Because rates are changing right now. Last time I met with you guys, which is about a month ago, what was the interest rates? Anybody remember? 3.75. There you go, 3.75. What are they today? 4%.
Buy a house.
Okay. So we just, in a month, changed our buying power for our buyer from $200,000, basically about $12,000 in purchase price. So why is that important to you? When you're sitting talking to your buyer and your buyer says, hey, I'm going to wait until those spring houses come on board. Guess what's going to happen to the purchase price of that house? The other thing that's going to happen is interest rates, chances are, and likely do, historically, increase in the springtime. So make sure you get your buyer on board and aware of the fact that you can't lock a loan until they have a house.
So that's a similar effect as gasoline prices when you're approaching the holiday?
Very much so. Very much so.
Planned like that.
Well, the bankers make money because the bankers charge a little bit more when they can.
Bastards.
Yeah, exactly. So from an opportunity standpoint, this gives you a great leverage point to be able to say, hey, we can't lock until we have a house, because locks aren't on people, they're on houses. So find that house, get it tied up, get a lock in on your interest rate, and make sure that we get that house sooner than later. All right, Mike's turn to talk about gift funds. Thank you.
All right, so just to piggyback off of that a little bit too, one of the things that I do a lot of times is if there's seller paid concessions, typically we won't use all of them, so I'll use the extra to buy the rate down for the buyer or for the borrower. Let's say like on a $200,000 house and you have 3% seller concessions, that's $6,000, right? Our closing costs are roughly $2,000, maybe $2,500. Well, and that doesn't include, that's pretty much it. Yeah. The lenders, you know, yeah, but that doesn't include paying home insurance and escrows and that sort of thing. But let's just say there's, you know, another $2,000 left over. Well, we can buy that rate down using that $2,000 and benefit their purchase. But yeah, so
Can you also put a home warranty in there?
yeah, it's part of the closing cost. It's on the HUD.
Right, but I mean, if you have, yeah, if you work hand in hand enough to where you'd say, hey, listen, we've got a surplus.
Yeah.
We've got a surplus. You want to buy the rate down, you want a home warranty,
Absolutely.
you know, or all the above.
Yeah, we can do that. All the above.
What about the major kickback at the table?
No. Jennifer, I would really like to do that for you, Jennifer, but the state says that my license is on.
That's right.
And I gave you what you do. Did you? Any other questions?
So, $2,000 can be quite a bit. So when we call and ask for, you know, and I always call and ask, like we're making a deal here. What are their costs going to be?
Yeah.
And I don't just put a percentage down. I want to know a figure.
Yeah.
So that figure that I get, is that going to end up including $2,000 extra dollars, or is because that we could use to buy down the rate, or is that going to be just estimated closing costs? Because sometimes we get down to $2,000 or $3,000 and the deal falls apart. Well, we could make it work if we knew that.
Right. Yeah, and we can work the numbers backwards and provide an estimate that includes the buy down.
But usually that figure that you would give would include stuffing all the prepaids, right? Besides your guys' costs, it would include funding all of the prepaid escrows and all that. Right?
We wouldn't give you a number that was added for that extra $2,000, but sometimes you guys just put 3% as the number.
Oh, right.
So,
But if we were to call and get a number,
we wouldn't
give the actual number. Okay.
Yeah. Well, kind of going back to the partnership is, you know, when you have a buyer that is looking, probably one of the first things they need to do is come talk to one of us and get pre-qualified, or, you know, then we know we can come back to you and say, yeah, hey Bill, this guy, he needs a little help on the down payment, or he needs a little help with this closing cost. So when you structure your purchase and sale, you're going to need to ask for some seller concessions. So what does that do? I mean, however you want to work that deal, you know, if it's increasing the price of the home a little bit because, you know, the sellers are really tight and they don't have room to give any concessions, or, you know, who knows? But you guys, it's good to know that up front. Kind of leads into a little bit with down payment. One of the things that I noticed, and this is from a lender perspective, is we always have to get a bank statement, 2 months bank statements on every transaction. And if there are gift funds or there are funds that are not sourced, that's probably one of the biggest problem areas that we have. It takes the most time, it's the most frustrating. So the best way to get around that is, again, advising our clients, preparing them up front, and something called seasoning of funds. If the funds are in their account for more than 2 months, we don't have to explain where it came from. So if we're preparing them, ahead of time, they can plan for that. Otherwise, they're gonna have to explain where all those funds came from. Any deposits that aren't related to their payroll, they're gonna have to explain in detail where did this money come from. And some people, it's not that easy. If they can't explain it, then we can't use it.
As long as it's been in there 2 months, no questions asked.
Right. Yeah, if it's been in there, so let's say they provide me with December and January statement, that deposit was already included in the balance prior to December. Maybe they got a big gift in November. We don't care, because underwriting's never gonna even ask about.
It's 2 months of statements, not 2 months from the date that we're talking about. 2 months of bank statements.
Yeah, and it just sometimes opens a can of worms that the borrowers and all of us aren't really prepared for, or just don't want to deal with. They don't want to. Maybe they have parents that gave them some money. Their parents don't want to open up their account to them, But we're going to need a copy of the parents' bank statement to show that they had these funds. Number one reason that we want to know is because we want to make sure it's not another loan. They're not borrowing for their down payment. That's the number one reason. Number two is it just has to do with the Patriot Act and making sure that these funds are good funds. They're not drug funds or something like that. So
Laundry money.
Laundry. Terrorists.
Is there a deadline to say if you want to buy down your rate 0.25%, is it typically about 1% of the loan?
It changes every day.
Is that close?
Yeah. Okay. It's about a point for a quarter.
I'll give you a good rundown on that in 2 weeks.
But just as a rule of thumb on now.
Well, we can talk about it now. It's easy for your next team meeting.
There you go. All right, guys.
So, a couple things too. Yeah, I would just say that the reason why it's so important to have a team, like we talked about, and especially a lender. If you haven't talked to these guys from Movement Mortgage or Michelle Barta as well, I encourage you to do so, is because helping your clients is really two things, right? Their lack of knowledge and understanding and their fear. So as professionals, you need to manage both of those things, right? They're scared because they don't know. They're scared and they don't know. So you need to make sure that you're partnering with someone who does know, and they can help them not be as scared because they have numbers and facts. And that kind of takes people's anxiety level and it brings it down to manageable so they can actually make the purchase decision that they want to make, which is to buy a house. Your job as a professional is to facilitate that with the right people, the right information, and help them manage that anxiety. So it's super important.
So they're going to talk about rate buydowns in 2 weeks. I love rate buydowns and talking about them. But I wanted you guys to understand this and not just brush over it real quick. You're going to start hearing more from your buyers because inventory, I'm guessing, is going to increase over the next couple of months. This is a way to get them to pull the trigger. So the conversation is understanding that they're approved on payment, not purchase price. And the question is something like, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think rates are going to go up or go down? Well, they're going to go up. And then if you have these figures, whether you have an amortization sheet or if you have a financial calculator, like I use the 10B2, the HP 10B2, there's also a really cool HP 10B2 app. I can instantly on the fly go from 3.75 to 4.5 at the same price and say, well, now we're going to be looking at a $188,000 house. How do you feel about that? These are all designed to get these buyers to pull the trigger and get off the fence. So I wanted you to understand that.
Yep. So real quick here in a second, we're going to do, we talked at the last meeting about doing some wants and needs. So some buyers that you have looking that aren't able to find something yet. Any upcoming listings that you want to pitch that are coming to market but haven't been put on the market yet. We're going to kind of tailor that process to what you want it to look like so it's efficient and it works for you guys. And Emily's going to help us with that. Real quick before we do that, another one of the big announcements that they made last week, and Ken mentioned it earlier, is we were ranked the #1 training company in the world by Training Magazine. And that's across all industries, not just in real estate. So it's a real impressive piece of recognition. Last year we got beat out by Jiffy Lube, believe it or not. So, and they do have amazing training. If you've been to one, it's like clockwork, no matter which one you go to. But we have incredible training here at Keller Williams. The numbers prove it. This is the training tracker. You guys have a copy of this. Take a look at it. These are the numbers that we track just internally here at our market center. And it shows that agents that are attending 2 or more trainings per month earn almost double, actually almost exactly double, gross commission income than agents that don't attend training. So we want to get you plugged in. We're the #1 training company, and it's for a reason. It's by design, and we want to make sure that you're taking advantage of it. There's a form that you have, this training feedback form. Everyone's got a copy. Please fill this out completely. Turn it in. We're going to have a drawing for a gift card because we value your opinions on how we can make the training better, more effective, better attended. We want to train on the topics that you want for your business, and we can't do that to a high degree unless you tell us. So we want to know what you want. We're going to have a drawing around this. Please answer these questions. Be honest and open with us because that's how we can make it even better. We're the #1 training company in the world. Let's show it, and let's make these numbers that we're tracking on the training tracker even bigger by plugging more people in and helping you guys earn more commission. So that's what it's all about, and that's why we put the form there so you guys can please fill it out. So Emily's going to take us through the wants and needs portion. We're going to try to keep it to 5 or 10 minutes depending on what you guys have. I think this will probably evolve as we go because we want it to be efficient, but we want it to be what you want for pitching your listers that are coming to market and any buyers that you can't find homes for.
Okay, so I created a Google Doc to kind of manage the information that you guys are going to be giving me for this portion of the team meetings. As you can see, there's some sample questions on there. So if you have upcoming listings that aren't out yet, if you have buyers that are difficult to find something for, then we'll have all of that on here. You can put their names in here, the neighborhood that they're looking in, their price range, stuff like that. And what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is create a short PowerPoint for each team meeting, and we'll have a slide for each of these items. So if you guys have a listing that's coming up and you have pictures, then you can send those to me via email, and I'll add them into the PowerPoint and have all of that ready for the end of each team meeting. I do need the information prior to the day of the meeting, so I'm going to ask you guys to send it to me by like noon on Mondays. But we're also going to attach this Google Doc to our Facebook page so you guys can access it through there. And I think can send out a link through email too, so you guys all have access to that. And you can just go in and add the information in here, and I'll pull it from that each week, and then create the PowerPoint to use for the meeting. You guys have any questions? Any feedback? Anything you'd like to see added?
Anything to pitch? Terry, you have something that you want to share?
I do. I have a beautiful luxury home south end of Sullivan. It's going to be open Friday. Brokers open 11:30 to 1. Here's the information on it. If you want to get more of it, I can send you a visual tour, or virtual tour. 7-bedroom, 4-bath, built by Gudon, and I'd like to see everybody there. We're going to have some chili and cornbread and give away some show tickets.
Is it an HOA?
Oh, homeowners association, very minimum, $300 a year.
What's the, and the acre?
2.98 acres. I'm in the office down here by Penny if you need to talk to me.
Anybody else got anything today? We're going to refine this process as we go.
I got land up north, and making land. Chatteroy, Boone Lake, huh?
What's the tree on it?
So one idea that I have, if the market center ends up using this at a really high level, especially, hey, I have this buyer that's looking for X, right? That's on the right side. I don't think you can see that. The way that it shows is one thing I used to do at listing appointments is I would pull up a document like this and show the client that I was trying to win the listing. Here's 50 buyers that are looking for homes. Let me filter this out to like the 3 or 4 that match your home. These are buyers that are working with Keller Williams agents right now that are looking for a home and haven't been able to find one, right? It's matching their home to a potential buyer, and you're in the middle, and that's what you want. So it would be great if we're using this document, and it's kind of a living, breathing document, so there may be 50 potential buyers on there from all different agents saying, hey, I got a buyer looking for a 3-2 on the South Hill for $250,000, and then you go to a listing appointment, 3-2 South Hill around that price range, and you're like, matter of fact, you know, let me pull this up real quick and show you. Here's 10 buyers that are looking for something like what you have that I have access to starting tomorrow. So let's sign the contract and sell this puppy, right? It's just another tool for you to use. I used to use it with huge success. I didn't do it, it wasn't exactly like this, but it was similar. And it's another way of you differentiating yourself for that seller to say, hey, we're the #1 company in the world. We got 150 agents at the brokerage, and here's some buyers that are looking for a house right now. We're the team and the person that should be listing your home. Another piece of your listing presentation. So I just wanted to mention that because I've done it with a lot of success. But please fill those feedback forms out, either now or ASAP. We're going to collect those and make some real changes. However you guys want to see our training evolve. We're proud of the #1 recognition, so we want to be true to that and get the training that you guys want, so that it's well attended. And thanks for coming today too.
Thank you.
Yes, sign up too for classes and for